Guys, I've been through a lot this week, but losing the lead in this pick'em challenge has definitely been the worst thing that's happened to me. I cannot believe that I am losing to a guy who picks the Lions every week and the Raiders. Holy
I'm
shit.
3-7 when I picked the Raiders, just to let you know.
Good call. What is up, everyone? We are back for our Week 12 picks. Well, the rest of the games picks, we already had 3 games go down on Thanksgiving. I'm joined with my co-host Joe Morley, Tony Tucker. Excited to get into these picks. First, real quick, like the video, subscribe to the channel, whether you're watching the replay or tuned in live. It helps us out in the algorithm a ton. Joe, how are you doing this week? How'd you do with your picks on Thanksgiving? Please tell me that you picked the Lions, please.
I did not take the Lions, so
Damn
that
it.
shows that you didn't watch our show. Me and Tony slaved over and had a hard day coming in. It was a great Thanksgiving show, but all 3 of us had the same picks, if you didn't know, Mike, for Thanksgiving. But I wanted to switch to the Lions so much, just like Tony wanted to switch later on that night, but we didn't. We stuck to with our guns, and all 3 games, a matter of fact, I don't know about you, Tony, but all 3 games on Thanksgiving were pretty damn good games. In the second half of the Dallas game, probably went a little the way that we thought it was going to be. But that first half, I give it to the Giants for hanging in there.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the level of entertainment that we got on that one Thursday, because those 3 games are probably the best 3 Thursday games we had all season. And it was jam-packed into one day of greatness, which is Thanksgiving. I'm thankful that I got to see all of it, right? Because I thought for some reason, like, if you are Jeff Bezos, you're like, wait, so you guys, I'm paying you guys $7 billion for the worst games you could possibly give me. And then when I get the 3 best games on Thursday night, none of them are on my platform, which I want to be shoving Black Friday deals down their throat the entire, Thursday night game. It was really tremendous. And I don't know how much we're going to talk about these games, but there was one play at the end of the game where Nelson Aguilar, what kind of route was he running at the end? I almost clipped it up to show you guys, where it was like he just runs straight up the field and like starts blocking his defender 35 yards downfield. Like it wasn't a corner, it wasn't a post, it wasn't a deep over. It was just the shittiest thing I'd ever seen. And he still almost made the play on the football. Like it was garbage.
Yeah, those games were pretty good. I didn't get to catch most of them, but the little pieces I was able to catch were great. I was meaning to watch the highlights for the show, but I didn't get a chance to. But it is good for the game that when all the eyes are on the games, that they come out and they all compete. Even the Lions, even the Patriots in games where the other team's much more talented. Should we get into these picks? You guys ready?
You should. I want to say lastly about Jared Goff. He's so close, guys. He's so close to being good enough for the Lions to not have to worry about the QB position. And then every 3rd or 4th decision or play or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, they need to address it. Because the rest of the team is like all turning corners, right? The offensive line is there, the running game is there. They've got playmakers at receiver, and they're going to get Jameson Williams. Man, if they just had Jared Goff consistency, will put them over the top. Like Goff's not bad, just sometimes he's terrible.
Yeah, and it's another quarterback that plays for. That is great sometimes, but you can't be sometimes in the NFL. You got to be all the time. And
how are you going to take a shot when Oscar Gonzalez here is coming in saying nice things as a Raiders fan? Why you got to take shots at Raiders fans?
Mike, why are you going to take shots at Raiders fans?
Take shots at me, and they'll still take shots at the Chargers, even though I'm on one leg. So I can take shots back at them on one leg. There's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate that, Oscar. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. Hopefully you're subscribed to the channel. Appreciate you for tuning in. We're going to go over every game that's remaining here. Joe, did you have one more thing up there? It looks like you're looking for something.
I was trying to get it to come up, but it's not. For some reason, it's not working. But did you guys see the picture of Josh Allen at the end of the game when Josh Allen was hugging Diggs, and he was like, "Oh, like it was very important to the Buffalo Bills to beat the Detroit Lions." Is that what we came down to?
It was. It was an escape. It was a relief. It was like, oh man, because I think he knows. Even though they play next Thursday, he knows for a fact, like if they go into next Thursday's game and the Patriots win and they're in 4th place in their division, it's going to be the pressure's really on at that point.
Yeah, they're going to have to win out at that point.
I wanted Detroit to win so Tony could come on here and give them respect.
I was worried that you picked Detroit, and I was like, oh, no.
We couldn't do it.
We all went 3-for-3? We all had the same picks for 3?
Yeah, we all went 3-for-3.
We've been so bad on Thursday night, and then the one week we're all in consensus. We go 3-for-3. Great way to
look at us go. All close games, too, or it could have went either way. Shout out to Money Mike Badgley for coming through for the Lions. Too bad his defense didn't come through for him. All right, let's get into this. First game on the list, the Atlanta Falcons on the road in Washington. Looks like we all kind of believe that Washington is starting to really roll. And Tony Tucker, you can go ahead and take your victory lap when it's your turn, but I want to let Joe go ahead and give his analysis for this game.
Tony, I don't know if you know, but we play each other in Dynasty this week, and I just picked up the quarterback of your favorite Washington football team.
Damn right you did, because Justin Fields is on the fence. Is he playing or not playing? I don't know.
Well, from what I read is we can get into that later, but they just brought Nathan Peterman into the active roster for the Bears. So that means it looks like Justin Fields is not going to play tomorrow. So I was like, I need a quarterback. Why not go with somebody who has a great matchup? He hasn't been getting a lot of touchdowns the last couple of weeks, but you have a great matchup against the Atlanta Falcons, right? Why not go out there and I can, hopefully he goes out there and performs well. So then not only can you be happy about it, but then you'll also be sad about it because I take you down in fantasy.
Well, I'm starting Heineke in a 16-team league that I really need. I need to win out, so I need a big day from Heineke. And I just want it to continue. I want the Washington Commanders to continue to win football games. Of all the teams in the NFC East, that's the team that I probably like the best. I don't like the Eagles or the fans really. Like 4th and 26 was a terrible, terrible time in my fan watching experience. The Cowboys fans are miserable human beings. I don't want them succeeding. And then the Giants. The Giants did me a couple favors by winning those Super Bowls against the Patriots for sure. But overall, I don't really like the Giants either. This game right here is the last stop for Marcus Mariota. It has to be. If you don't win this game, and I believe the Bucs are going to win now, all of a sudden the Bucs are up a couple games on them in that division. He needs to make the move during the bye week, because don't they have a bye coming up?
Mm-hmm. I think they're next week.
So
I don't know who has the week 13 and 14 buys, but whoever they are, lucky teams.
He needs to make the move to Desmond Ridder coming up in week 13. So this is the last stop for Marcus Mariota to keep this job, in my opinion. Yeah. And I just like the way the Washington defense has been playing over the past couple of weeks, and I think they can keep it going. They stop the run, which is what they do best, and then Mariota is going to have to try and expose a weaker secondary, and I'm not sure he can do it.
Yeah, unlike you, Tony, Washington's actually my least favorite team in the division just because their fans always get upset at me for doubting them. But I feel like I doubt them for good reason in most situations. They've earned my respect over the last couple of weeks, especially defensively. And Taylor Heineke is showing Carson Wentz. Like, dude, you don't got to be a superhuman. Just go out there and play smart and let the game come to you, and we'll try and make the plays at the end of the game to win the game. If we don't, then we don't. But don't throw us out the game in the freaking second quarter, dude.
Yeah, but throw us 17. That's an easy playbook right there.
Yeah, Washington's defense is really coming on. That kid playing safety, Forrest, he is a baller. He's coming on, and they're getting Chase Young back this week. I think Atlanta can stay in this game, but I just don't think defensively Atlanta is going to be able to stay in this game. It might be close into the second half, but after that, Washington should take a step forward and run away with that one. On to Baltimore on the road in Jacksonville. Jacksonville started off promising and then has completely fallen apart. I think they've lost 6 of their last 7. Baltimore started the season kind of shaky, and now they're going nuts. I think they've won like 5 of their last 6 or a record similar to that. We're all on the Baltimore Ravens. They are the hot team, but they haven't been winning super impressively. Joe, you got no hope in the Jags?
I mean, I want to take the Jags, and we've all seen a little bit of improvement in what the Jags have done this year. But Baltimore should win these games, and they should have blew the Panthers away last week, and they didn't do it. And last week I was preaching about every team that plays the Panthers, they lose the following week, and that's But last week that was over because the Steelers or the Bengals and the Falcons ruined that curse, so they both won after that. So I can't use that this week. I can't be like, well, that's why Baltimore is going to lose. But Baltimore needs to come out, and they need to show us something impressive, Tony. I want to see something impressive from because I know what their record is. I know how they're winning, but they're just barely squeaking by these teams. And if they squeak by Jacksonville, can we really take them serious as an AFC contender?
So here's the thing. Jacksonville, in my estimation, is a bad matchup for the Ravens because they have athletic linebackers, and they have linebackers that can play coverage and tackle and run sideline to sideline. So that is kind of, if you're going to beat the Ravens, what you need in that area, like where you can beat them is outside. So like, does he catch Duvernay on a big touchdown this week? And can Demarcus Robinson put together back-to-back weeks? I think a big thing that they really are missing, and it's weird to say this, is Gus Edwards. Like, he really plays nicely in that where you just you let him smash the defense up, 15 times a game. And then as soon as, you think that you have Lamar Jackson figured out, you don't, and then he beats you up. I'm going with the Ravens in this game because it's that time of year where they're going to do enough things to win the game. They're going to, if it comes down to we need a field goal drive, and then you put it on the foot of Tucker to be making big kicks for them. But yeah, I mean, maybe the Jaguars stay in, keep it close, interesting and fun.
Yeah, and that's really been the big thing for the Ravens in their winning streak as of late. It's not necessarily been that the offense is jumping off the charts or Lamar Jackson is putting together a bunch of crazy highlights in individual games. It's been more so the defense has just come together. They're starting to play better together. I don't know if it was a chemistry issue early on in the year or just, getting a couple reps if these guys didn't play very much in the preseason. But they've played amazing in the last couple of weeks, and I expect that to continue against the Jaguars offense. Carolina gave them a run for their money last week. But you can't ask more of your defense than to shut a team down in the NFL to 3. So that's great.
And that feels more of a Carolina's better than we give them credit for thing, right? Where it's like
their defense.
If you come in and they have a similar ability that the Jaguars have last week, right? Where it's like their defense is actually pretty decent. Like good quarterback play, and the Carolina Panthers are a different team.
Yeah, 100%. And this game could end up being close, but the Ravens should take care of business even on the road. We're all in agreement so far, and we're all going to stay in agreement. So we got 2 orange
Miguel's in the chat, Mike. He says he wants to know if the Raiders still have a chance. Hell yes, they have a chance. They're going all the way 10-7, and he's hoping you a speedy recovery, Mike.
I appreciate that. For that, I will give you my Raiders pick on this show in about 10 minutes, Lewis. Please stick around. It's a great choice that I made. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the road against the Cleveland Browns, and this game is a little bit interesting. Tampa Bay coming off of a bye week, obviously. The Browns playing their last week without Deshaun Watson, trying to go out on one more victory before their starting quarterback returns. Joe, you think Tom Brady's going to take care of business, huh?
Coming back from the bye week, no Leonard Fournette, going to get Rachaad White into the game. A little fresh legs, I think. I think they're just going to come out and, start dominating. Tom Brady is done. He's done playing around. He got his divorce behind him. He's focused. I think he's going to come in, and that defense hasn't been playing the way that we've known Tampa Bay's defense to play the last 2 years. I think the bye week was good for him. Get him back on track. Only teams could pray to have late bye weeks like this, right? Especially a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where, hey, we're struggling the first half, and then we'll come back ready for the playoffs. Tampa Bay is going to go on a tear second half.
Ooh.
Yeah, I agree with that, Joe. I think the Bucs are primed to make the NFC playoffs very interesting. This feels like a terrible matchup for the Browns. Nick Chubb struggles next week, and you're like, all right, we got to get reestablished. The Bucs defense has started to turn a little bit of a corner there. They realize what time of year it is. They realize that they have a great opportunity to win the division and get a home playoff game by just taking care of business out the rest of the season. They seem to be pretty healthy outside of Leonard Fournette. And, Tom's going to be recharged on avocado stuffing or whatever the hell he was able to consume over this break and game plan. And to me, this game feels like the Browns maybe keep it close a little bit in the first half, but this ends up being like a 10 to 14 point victory for the Bucs.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think with a bye week and everything, the way that this Browns secondary has struggled, Tom Brady's ready. He's licking his chops. He's going to get this ball out to the weapons that he does have still there healthy in Tampa. And I also think it's key that the defense is not just playing good, but playing better against the run specifically. And it seems like when you stop the Browns in the run game, unless Jacoby has one of those games, which he does every once in a while, you beat the Browns at this point. And once they get Deshaun Watson back and rolling, they're going to be more of a dangerous team because they're going to be able to threaten you with Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson, trust me. And Donovan Peoples-Jones is having a hell of a season this year. So I'm excited to see where the Browns are going when they do get their quarterback. You got to look at the end of the season as like some trial period to get him back into the flow of playing football. And the Bucs are trying to make a push towards the playoffs. So I think it makes sense that Tampa should win this game pretty comfortably based off the matchups, based off the momentum of these two teams. We'll see how it goes. Oh, wait, go ahead.
I was going to say, unfortunately, Mike, it feels like a trial period for the marriage between Stefanski and Watson. Like, if it doesn't go bad and they continue to look ugly, I think Stefanski could be on the hot seat.
Yeah, I agree that, you're hitting a point in Stefanski's reign as the coach of the Browns. Has it hit its peak already? I mean, this team has been doing this for a couple years now where they've had a roster loaded with talent and just something's going wrong every year, whatever it might be. On to Bears on the road in New York. Is Justin Fields going to play in this game? I still don't even know, honestly. Have they listed him anything? Is it questionable?
The last I've read, and Tony and I were just talking about this, the last we read is they're bringing up – they already brought up Nathan Peterson from the practice squad, which gives them two quarterbacks on there, Trevor Siemian and Nathan Peterman and Justin Fields, which probably indicates that Justin Fields will be inactive tomorrow, but they won't do it until more closer to game time.
Well, call me crazy. I decided when I made this pick that I was picking the Bears even with the backup quarterbacks in. I am against the Jets probably the rest of the way. I think they're frauds. I think they've been exposed. And I think without Breece Hall and now moving to their backup quarterback, even though it's Mike White, who I love so dearly, I wish the Bears had Mike White for this situation. I think the Jets are falling apart defensively and offensively in the next couple of weeks, but we'll see what happens. Joe, you're with the Jets still.
I'm with the Jets because the Bears run through Justin Fields right now, and Justin Fields has been the reason they've been winning with his running game, with everything he's been doing. You take him out, it's a big blow to that team. I believe so. With Mike White coming in, I don't think Mike White is a big upgrade over Zach Wilson like some people, but the only thing Mike White does is when he comes in and when he did come in last year is he improved who? Michael Carter. And that's who the Jets need to get going is their running back. They need to get their running game going again. Since they lost Breece Hall, they haven't really been running as efficient as they should be. So I want to see Michael Carter get it going.
The MVP. The MVP, Joe. Make sure you put his accolades there.
There's a certain level of professionalism that's lost with young people. It's all about me. Elijah White, second year, hasn't really done anything, and he's demanding trades before the trade deadline, right? Like, he wants out. I think there's a little bit of, we got a new guy in here who can actually get us the football, a little bit of energy. And the thing that you're doubting, you're calling them frauds. The defense is not fraudulent. The Jets defense is legit. And if they can just get average play from the quarterback, the Jets are not only going to make the playoffs, but they could win a playoff game with that kind of defense and just somebody who converts, puts them in field goal range, and allows them chances at scoring touchdown and chances to use. They have three good wide receivers when Corey Davis is healthy. So, like, they have the options there. We've seen their tight ends be effective. Michael Carter is a decent running back. James Robinson is a decent running back. Are they Breece Hall? No. But these are good caliber. Like, they have good offensive pieces if they just had a functioning QB. Like, if you literally put in like Jacoby Brissett, Taylor Heineke, Ryan Tannehill, the Jets would be a very good football team based on what we've seen from their defense. And I don't think even a healthy Justin Fields is enough to beat the Jets on his own. So like this, Mike, I want you to stay with the Bears on this pick.
Oh, I'm staying.
I'm not going to talk you out of it. Ride with Trevor Siemian and Nathan Peterman.
Don't talk me out. I hope that is Trevor Siemian more so than Nathan Peterman. But or honestly, I don't think it matters. They both suck. I think that the Jets defense is even going to get exposed a little bit. This offense is going to be not so predicated on just Justin Fields run. Oh, he's going to pass? Nope, he's going to run. This offense is going to be a little bit more complete. I don't think the Jets are going to be able to game plan. They have no idea what's coming. You're going to see Chase Claypool, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney expose this Jets secondary. Watch, even with a bad quarterback. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I could be completely wrong. I can't.
Is it a bad secondary for the Jets?
I don't think they're bad, but I don't think they're as good as advertised.
Okay.
Keep those receipts, Tony. Keep those receipts.
I'll keep them too. The Jets are on their downfall right now. On to the next game. We got the Cincinnati Bengals on the road against the Tennessee Titans, and we're all in agreement again. So we're just picking the same picks this week, guys. Why are we even doing this show?
I don't know. I have no idea. Jamar Chase was supposed to make his return, or at least that's what Joe Burrow was saying. It's not going to happen. He's not playing this week. And I think this is a little bit – we talked about this a couple of days ago, Tony, where we thought it could be a revenge game for the Tennessee Titans. Joe Mixon's out. No Joe Mixon either. And I think the Tennessee Titans defensive line is going to have a great time. What did Simmons have last time they met? 9 sacks?
Yeah.
7 sacks?
16 pressures.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Tennessee. I don't even like Tennessee's defense, to be honest with you. But this game, I'm like, Tennessee's defense is gonna show up. Joe Burrow's gonna have a bad game, and the Tennessee Titans, and like you said, Ryan Tannehill even has to make up for his bad interception because everybody thinks that the Titans should have been the favorite last year to go to the Super Bowl. Instead, it was the Cincinnati Bengals that took their spot.
Yeah, they lost in this stadium, first round, or like second round of the playoffs last year to this Bengals team that was healthy, and their defense was trending in the right direction. And all of those things are not happening right now. They're not healthy, and their defense is not trending positively. At least they didn't look that way against Kenny Pickett last week. So who do I want? I want the team that's won 6 of 7 games or whatever and is extremely well coached defensively, plays smart, conservative football, and knows where their bread is buttered. Let's just get, the dude with dreadlocks as many touches as we can get. That's who I'm riding with. Tennessee, I think they win this game in a way that people start Monday going, is this the year the Titans make the run to the Super Bowl? Like, I think that will be the conversation with how impressively they beat the Bengals.
Yeah, because last year it almost felt like a window got closed too. Once you see A.J. Brown lead the team, and Harold Landry's contract was in question, even though he ended up coming back in the end. But after the moment ended, it was like, damn.
Well, they got the passing game going, Mike. They got Treylon Burks going last week.
That's what I mean.
Who's a good receiving tight end. They're getting him involved. Like, it's a different team. Even Robert Woods has looked better the past 2-3 weeks.
That's what I was going to. Go ahead.
When they started 0-2, people were saying the Titans were dead. They were saying the Titans aren't the same anymore. You weren't seeing them, but this is what the Titans are built for right here. Cold when it gets to November, December, and you got big bad Derrick Henry running the ball. Nobody wants to tackle Derrick Henry. I'm a big dude. I'll tackle him, but I don't want to.
And Mike Vrabel deserves a ton of credit for what he does with this team every single year. It feels like Staley's always talking about tough, rugged football teams. He needs to go study this Mike Vrabel-led team. But what I was leaning into is it felt like a window was being closed last year when the Bengals upset the Titans, but that's not necessarily the case. I'm excited to see what Treylon Burks does in this game because last week he looked really good, and it's only been a couple weeks since he's gotten healthy still to this point. So he's only going to get better and better with each week, and this is a not-so-great secondary that he's going against. I think the Titans are probably angry. They probably have this one circled. They know the Bengals are coming into town, also needing the win really bad because they're in the middle of the wild card picture. This could turn into an ugly game. I don't know if this is going to be close. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's a couple, again, another one of those games where it's close, and then just the will of the Titans and the pressure and everything, no matter how badly Joe Burrow can stand in there and continue to take that beating, it's tough when you're down Joe Mixon and you're down Jamar Chase and you're playing against a team that's this tough.
Yeah, and we talk about quarterbacks a lot and what they do for offenses and what they do in games and how they deserve wins and losses on their record and all that. Derrick Henry is such a good running back that even when this team goes against good offenses or teams that are going to run up the score, they hold the team down to low scoring totals because their defense never has to go on the field. Derrick Henry just runs the ball all the way down, up and down the football field. So it's exciting. We'll see how that game goes. I think that's going to be a game to keep an eye on if it's close, but I think the Titans got it. On to Denver on the road in Carolina, and Sam Darnold's back. Joe, this is the perfect upset pick for you.
The GOAT, Sam Darnold, back again.
I'm back again.
No, I can't. I mean, Denver's defense is good. Denver's defense, you can't talk crap about it, is a good defense. And that's the only reason I'm picking them. If I don't know. I can't put I can't go Sam Darnold coming back, not playing in the cup in all season, and then he's gonna come in here and dominate one of the top defenses in the league. Not doing it. I don't care if it's Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, who else they got? Baker Mayfield. It doesn't matter who they have at quarterback. They're going to lose this game. And you know what? I hope that Russell Wilson throws for 5 touchdowns this week so then they can finally stop counting the Russell Wilson versus how many restrooms he has in his house.
That is so sad that it's gotten to that point. This is another game where we're just going to say, like, is Hackett even going to make it to the end of the season? Like, I don't know that he'll be coaching, that he'll make it through 1 year. And it's not because he's a bad guy in the way that Urban Meyer was. It's that there seems to be no compromise from Russell Wilson to try and run the offense the way it's supposed to be run. Are we to think that Nathaniel Hackett doesn't know anything about offense? Like, they drafted Jordan Love because Aaron Rodgers was not the same anymore. And Nathaniel Hackett is back-to-back MVP coordination of an offense. Like, it's not just all Aaron Rodgers there, because now Nathaniel Hackett's gone, and yes, there's rookies there, but there is some correlation in the struggle of what is happening and the game plan and the play calling and everything else. It's just there. So why is it that it's not even that it's not working. It is disgusting to watch the Broncos play offensive football. Like, it hurts my eyes and my fandom to just watch that team play on the offensive side of the football. But Sam Darnold is playing for a chance to be a backup quarterback next year. Like, to have for somebody to say, yeah, we'll put you on our roster and we'll give, not even let you compete, but be a backup in the NFL. And it's the worst matchup he could have drawn was the Broncos. I don't care if it's at home. He's got healthy DJ Moore and healthy Terrace Marshall. It doesn't matter. Like this, I think that this is the Broncos defense scores more touchdowns than either one of these quarterbacks in this game.
See, I was gonna say, what if it's like a 2-0 game, Tony? Like a safety and wins the game, and that's it.
Oh, I think the Broncos defense gets a strip sack, fumble, return to the house, and this. Like, I was mad that I was beat in 2 leagues to get to the Broncos defense in fantasy football.
I think you might want to put some props in on that one, Tony. That might make you some dollar. That might make you some cha-ching, strip sack, more
Tony's rich enough, Mike. You don't need no more money.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
You see my palatial pool back that I have? Okay.
If it wasn't
like Cliff Kingsbury's house behind you, Tony.
If it wasn't Sam Darnold and it was even like PJ Walker or, call me crazy Cam Newton, I may actually go with the Panthers because the Broncos offense is so bad and the Panthers defense is actually decent. But I just can't do it with Sam Darnold. I can't.
I would pick the Panthers if PJ Walker was starting.
I would have thought about it seriously because I did think this is a defensive battle, and this might come down to whoever can kick the most freaking field goals. It might not even come down to whoever has the best team necessarily.
I just don't think PJ would hurt them as much as I think Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield hurts the offense.
Yeah,
like they're turnover prone because they try to always be making the big play. And at some point, you got to realize we're not set up for that.
Yep.
At all. On to the next game where we did not pick the same team at all. The Green Bay Packers on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. And a lot of people have told me that the Packers are our team on upset watch, that we should watch the Packers to upset the Eagles this week because of how desperate they are, because their back is against the wall. And every time Aaron Rodgers' back's against the wall, he comes out. Well, I got some bad news, y'all. His back was against the wall last week. His back has been against the wall this entire season, and they fail over and over and over again. And I personally feel like the Eagles still want to prove something. The Eagles still got some doubters out there that and I don't know if they hear the noise or not, but they got to hear some of it, and they want to prove that they are now the top dogs of the NFC, going against last year's top dogs of the NFC. Joe, with Philly, is it just the Green Bay Packers are bad, or you just think that the Eagles are that much better than the Packers?
Both. I think the Packers haven't figured out what they need to do ever since Devontae Adams left. They keep going back and forth and not showing. I want to see more out of Aaron Jones, and every time I think they have it going with Aaron Jones, they go somewhere else. It's different. I want to see more out of the backfield from him because I think that's where they thrive, where he's doing that real route and going up the sideline and catching those touchdowns from Aaron Rodgers. And the one way to beat the Eagles is how the Packers can do it. You throw it to the outside. You make those cornerbacks go one-on-one with your running backs. You saw it. I've been talking about it all year. That's the way you beat the Eagles. I think the Eagles have a lot to prove. They are 9-1, but a lot of doubters are out there, and especially last week against the Colts, that they barely squeaked by. I think that was more of the Eagles being on a down squirt since Washington beat them, and I think that was just them coming back. But I think the Eagles are too good. I think Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, another week into that defense, they get better, and Green Bay's offensive line won't be able to stop them.
Yeah, this is going to be A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. Like, everybody's getting a score in this game. They're all going to – the backup tight end that we didn't even know the name of, we still don't know the name of with Dallas Goedert out. Everybody's getting a score in this game. I think at some point starters get pulled. I'm not of this idea that, like, the Packers are going to bounce back or do whatever. They don't stop the run. They don't stop the pass. They don't commit to the run on offense long enough to win football games. Like, I know that they have Aaron Rodgers, but at some point, you just realize, like, oh, it's just an okay football team. That's what the Packers are. They're just an okay football team that is going to run into a team at home that I think is really going to get back to what they do, and that is smashing the football down team's throat. And when you come up to do that, hitting A.J. Brown on a slant and allowing him to then do physical damage to you, or going down the field over the top to Devonta Smith or Quez Watkins, and then allowing their running backs to eat over and over and over again. This is when game doesn't really feel close. I'm glad. I think they switched this game out of Sunday Night Football. Or is this the game they switched into Sunday night? This is the game they switched into Sunday Night Football.
This is the Sunday Night Football game this week, yeah.
Yeah.
So it will be a fun Sunday Night Football game. Anytime you get Aaron Rodgers under the lights against a team as good as the Eagles, it's probably going to be fun to watch. When did Aaron Rodgers hurt his thumb? I feel like it was like in week 4, right? I remember hearing about it earlier in the year when he hurt his thumb. But all of a sudden, like the last week, that's all I hear about. And that's how I know a team's falling apart, when the quarterback starts talking about the injury more than he's talking about what they need to do to get back on track. And I know he's saying there's no excuse for my thumb being hurt, but I'm going to bring it up 10 times.
Packers historian right here on the show. The year Aaron Rodgers was drafted, Favre played the entire season with a fractured thumb.
Here we go.
There was most interceptions, and then Aaron Rodgers gets drafted to the team, right? There's a similar thing that's happening here. Favre, one losing season, and they go out and do something hasty, like draft some idiot that's going to ruin my football watching for multiple decades. So, like, this is what's happening now. It's all karma. It's all coming back. Losing season, losing in Lambeau, playing with a hurt thumb. I don't want to hear any belly aching about it. If you're out there and you're playing, then you're healthy enough to be on the field.
Yeah, and that extension is looking uglier and uglier because it's starting to look like they might be trading that contract, and that is going to be a mess. That's gonna be an absolute mess if they have to trade that contract after the first year of it. Is it
But
3
Tony's
years or
calling-
4 years? If it's
only
4 years,
there's only 2 more years after this, and I
Okay.
think the final year there's some funny money there, right?
okay. Maybe it's a little easier to move than I thought. What are you
Yeah.
thinking, Joe?
Mike, I don't know if you heard what Tony said. Tony called and said that Gardner Minshew is playing in this game.
Yes, he is.
Huh?
The mustache. He's gonna take some snaps in the fourth quarter.
Oh, I hear you. You calling for that blowout, huh?
Mhm.
Everybody in the chat right now, somebody's asking if we got to the Rams Chiefs. We haven't gone to that game yet. We'll get there. 49ers and Saints still coming up. We'll get there, guys.
Yeah, and if you guys are Atlanta, Washington, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Tampa, Cleveland, Chicago, New York, Cincinnati, Tennessee, Denver, Carolina, Green Bay, Philly, we did all the games already. You guys can replay. Just grab your little thing at the bottom to the beginning, and we'll be here to talk about the rest of the games. Anyways, Houston on the road in Miami. The Miami Dolphins are just a way better team than the Houston Texans. But anything to add, Joe, for this game specifically? I know that you're not the biggest Tua fan like me, but this is just a mismatch, man.
Well, no Davis Mills, right? Davis Mills got benched this week as well.
Kyle Allen.
Houston's trying to start something going, seeing what they have, I guess. That was what teams should do around this time of the year, is just see what you have, see what your backups can do, do a little bit of scouting, self-scouting on your team. But the Miami Dolphins have been on another level. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are just going to be way too much. It's way too much for any team, let alone one of the worst teams in the league, to stop. Even though Houston has showed us great strides, and they're not as bad as their record shows, and I give Houston a little bit more credit than probably some people do. But Houston's, they're one win, but they've hung around in some of these games, or at least until the second half, and then they give then they start to do it. But that's the thing about Miami. Miami's just going to continue to put up points, and their offense. Their defense not that great, but their offense is unbelievable.
This is blowout weekend. That's what I'm realizing. That I just think it's so many of these games are going to end in massacres, and this is definitely one of them. You have a team that is essentially moving to Kyle Allen, not to scout Kyle Allen or that he's going to be better at getting the ball than Nico Collins, to evaluate whether or not you need to draft a wide receiver or sign one or whatever They're doing that to just allow the team to keep some sort of competitive edge going into this game and be like, oh shit, we need to keep people engaged as if we're trying to actually win these football games. It's a morale booster. You don't want to go out into the game being like, man, Davis is going to let us down again, and the defense is quitting too early. You're like, oh, we're going to go to our backup. He's won some games in this league. He's played whatever, not very well. This to me is like the Dolphins' last easy win, because it's going to get real difficult for the Dolphins over the next couple of weeks. They start playing teams that are competing for playoff spots and teams that are Super Bowl contenders. I think they play the 49ers next week. I hope that gets flexed into prime time. I want to see the Dolphins. I want to see Mike McDaniel going back, to play against the 49ers, and Tua having to evade the rush of Bosa, and Tyreek Hill trying to get open against pretty good secondary. So, I don't know. I'm already talking about next week. That's what I think of this game. 28-point win by the Miami Dolphins.
So here's what Tony's talking about, Mike. They play Houston, San Francisco, Chargers, Bills, Green Bay, Patriots, Jets.
Yeah, that is a gauntlet right there. And those Patriots-Jets games aren't easy either. That's division rivals. We'll see how it goes. That's a good stretch for the Dolphins to really test if they're going to compete and if they can get into the playoffs. I've been saying a lot about this team, that this stretch of the schedule that they're on, where they're playing these easier teams, that if they continue to dominate and look good against these easier teams, that I'm going to believe more and more and more in them. And they've been doing that. And other than maybe giving up a lot of points on defense, the offense has kept up. What's up, LA Spike in the house? But yeah, it just feels like the Dolphins are a way better team than the Texans, and they're playing better right now than the Texans. And the Texans are in the middle of a rebuild, another one. I do think they have the right guy, though, in Lovie Smith. I do think that they're making some of the right moves. Those Deshaun Watson picks have to be drafted, and those Deshaun Watson picks have to develop before we know if this team is starting to turn it around. Maybe 2 years away still, to really see what the Texans are going to do in the future. And I think that they're in play to draft a quarterback in the draft next year, or I don't know what free agents they're going to get to go there.
But I think they actually had a really nice draft, though. If you look at it, like Derek Stingley Jr. looks nice, and Kenyon Green has had moments. He's been a little penalty prone or whatever. Damian Pierce could be looked at as like a steal of the draft. They're going to get back the young kid. Yes, the kid who had cancer. To get him back and be able to pair him up with Nico Collins, who is a good football player. He just needs better quarterback play.
And they might get some more picks for Brendan Cooks. Like they might get another pick or two in that deal in the offseason that I'm sure is coming. I bet you the only way they got him back on the field was telling him, like, hey, we'll trade you to whoever the fuck you want in the offseason. Just please play.
Yeah.
Please play.
Maybe get a fifth or something come draft time.
So extra picks there coming, and they're in the middle of a rebuild, like we said. Chargers on the road against Arizona. Joe, I am shocked.
Yeah, me too.
That especially you making these graphics, you didn't change a few picks, seeing that we literally all have the same picks. If we go undefeated this week, we all three go undefeated.
No, we don't all three go undefeated, but
I know the Raider game is coming quickly.
You did take the Bears, and there's a couple. I can't take the Arizona Cardinals, Mike. I can't. I've been saying it. This is the last week that we see Cliff Kingsbury as the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Next week, they go into their bye week. They make their changes. Arizona, I'm predicting that Arizona blows up on the sideline against the Chargers. And I hope the Chargers come out and put 50 points. This is the one time that I'm hoping the Chargers come out and just blow the Arizona. They quit last week. The Arizona Cardinals quit on the field last week. Tony, they gave up. They were losing to the Niners, and they said, you know what? We're not even going to make tackles anymore. We're just going to let people score all over us. Cliff Kingsbury lost his team. Players don't want to play. They're not going to bounce back. Maybe the Chargers are having a down season. Maybe the Chargers have so many injuries. Maybe the Chargers are bad coached. But it all doesn't matter when you go against Cliff Kingsbury this week. And I don't know, is Kyler coming back? Who gives a damn if he comes back? Chargers win this game.
So I already predicted on the Nuts and Bolts show, which we have there. I don't know who this is. Do you want to take a second?
What it do, baby? What's up, Kevin? And everyone else that's new to the live, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, turn notifications. We go live and talk football throughout the week. This is our weekly Pick'em show, but we do multiple other shows throughout the weeks, including recaps, previews, shorts, funny videos, everything in between. We're just three friends talking football, and we want you to be our fourth. So please subscribe to the channel. Tony, go ahead, continue, and let them know.
I just saw Mike throwing up his civil rights fist. I was like, oh my goodness.
No, I had one.
He was like, Kevin!
No, this is what I'm doing. I know you don't watch WWE, Tony, but I know Joe does. This is the We Are the Ones. The Chargers are the ones.
All right. Yeah. You got to catch up an old man on what's going on. I already predicted on the Nuts and Bolts show that we do that this was a 34-22 victory for the Chargers. And the one thing is I want them to snatch a soul early in this game. I want turnovers on the first drive or a really aggressive, 3rd and 17, 3-and-out type situation. Like have them bickering. Have Kyler Murray literally throwing his helmet at his head coach, trying to fire his own coach in the first quarter. Have DeAndre Hopkins, dreadlocks swinging, going crazy. James Conner being just like, what did I get myself into? J.J. Watt contemplating retirement at halftime of this game. Like, this team is on the verge of having just monumental in-game mental breakdowns. And I want the Chargers to be the one to deliver it to them and bringing joy. I think this is the game where we get to see Justin Herbert, what we're going to see in the second half. I said, I think these final 7 games, we're going to see 25 touchdowns from Herbert and just go on just a tear to end this season. And it starts this weekend against this secondary. And yeah, I was very excited. I almost threw on the Josh Palmer jersey to do this show. I did not. I don't want to jinx the young man. He's been balling out lately.
Yeah, and while the Bolts aren't getting Mike Williams back, they are getting Gerald Everett back, which I think is huge. And Tony is a huge Gerald Everett fan. I'm starting to become more of a huge Gerald Everett fan with every week I see him out there. It's just his threat to push the ball down the field, his threat to make a big play with the ball in his hands after the catch. That alone brings enough to the offense to where Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen have a little bit more space to work. I was a little bit concerned about this game because I do still feel like the Cardinals have a lot of talent. It's just scattered and they're in disarray. Like they're just not playing well together. And coach, right? And who you look at first in that situation. But they do have the talent where if they did put it all together, and knowing my great luck that I'm having lately, they would put it together against my team for 1 week. But the Chargers have not lost back-to-back games. And every time that they have suffered loss, they have responded well. And every time they've gone on the road after a loss, they've balled out. At least they've done enough to get the win. And I think that trend has to continue. For my Chargers, it's must win. And for the Arizona Cardinals, from their fan base's perspective, it's must lose. So let's get that going. Both sides can be happy at the end of this.
And I have to be a little bit biased towards the Chargers for the rest of the year because I traded for Justin Herbert for my fantasy playoffs in my money league. So just to let you guys know, I'm rooting for big games from Justin Herbert the rest of the year. I don't care if they lose, but I need big games from Justin Herbert the rest of the year.
Well, he does play a bad secondary next week, and he plays a bad secondary this week. So I think.
And I don't know if you guys seen this, but I like this one right here. Let's go
what
back
was the
to
trade?
it. He says there needs to be an animated version of this show. Tony in a lab coat, Mike in a 4-piece suit, and Joe with an iron fist. What do you think, Tony?
I'm in.
And just to show you guys, Tony in a lab suit.
SUB. It's crazy. The older I get, these eye charts just become impossible to. Oh, okay. Please read the chart. Back to the show.
Read the chart.
Read the chart.
Did you
We need to use those more, Tony. You put a lot of work into that. I could tell.
I put a lot of work into all of them. Tons of time.
That's probably an hour at least.
I thought you were actually wearing a lab coat in that one. I must.
No, I'm the nurse. I'm not a doctor. I'm just trying to check the man's eyes.
I wish you would have been the nurse for Mike on Sunday. Like, hey, Mike, how you doing?
No more drops. Yes, Charger. What is this? Saib? How do we say this name here?
Gerald. Oh.
No, Charger C. He's saying no more drops. That has been a problem for Gerald Everett this year, is drop passes. But when he catches the ball, he has a certain level of juice and energy that I think is contagious to the team, and he tries to run people over. So I'm really rooting for Gerald Everett. He's not going to get to the crazy prediction I had for him, Mike, but I'll take it. Whatever.
He did lose a game. He probably lost about 50 to 75 yards and 5 catches in that game. But all I want is when he goes to truck people, instead of holding the ball like this when he's trucking people, I want to start seeing more of this, Gerald. More of this, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. I get very scared when he's getting hit in the hip, hit in the shoulder, and the ball's like over here.
He's a little wild with it. But yes, big fan of Gerald Everett. Always have been.
On to the next game here. Defending Super Bowl champs going in with basically a bunch of backups to face the Kansas City Chiefs. And we ain't crowning the Chiefs yet as anything. But this is not looking good for the Rams, who are probably throwing in the towel. I would not be surprised if there's an announcement next week that Stafford's done for the year. He's calling it.
I think he already is. I saw some hubbaloo or whatever that word is that like the wife, Kelly Stafford, was upset that he was even put back, like he was even allowed to play in games because of some stuff that was going on. And at a certain point, you just start playing for next season for the Rams. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're already like Darrell Henderson was kind of celebrating when he got waived and got to be on another team. It's like, Darrell, you signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're like, what's the celebration for in this situation? You didn't get picked up by the Eagles or the Bills or somebody. Like you got picked up on another team that has less wins than what you're currently on, and you're celebrating. So it must be a real just disaster going on. I'll just say this, and then you guys can have the rest of the time to say whatever you want. Patrick Mahomes seals up MVP for the league this weekend.
Oh, boy.
Like he's going to inflate his numbers against this defense that ever since Jalen Ramsey came out and said, hey, we can't do everything. We just can't continually get stops. The defense, when they lost that game to the Bucs, they had all of the wind sucked out of their sails. They're just like, we just are floating through this season, maybe try and grab some all-pro second team votes or something, or whatever it is, like make it through this year without having to do monstrous rehab in the offseason. But we aren't really like that. We aren't committed like that anymore. And I think Patrick Mahomes puts up 5-6 touchdowns, inflates his numbers against this Rams team, and seals up MVP this weekend.
Yeah, as much as I respect a player balling out and proving doubters wrong, even if it's me, I hate that freaking guy.
I'm tired of it too.
No respect. You guys are showing no respect for Bryce Perkins coming in here and dominating the Kansas City. No, it's gonna be over. It'd be over by halftime, maybe even the first quarter. I've seen some Raider games where the Kansas City Chiefs come out and like blow the Raiders out and put up 21 points in a quarter. We're probably gonna see that this week. We're probably gonna see 3 scores by Kansas City in the first quarter, if not if not 4 or 5 by halftime, and just have this game secured. If Tony wants to talk about backups, you might see some backups in this game, right? What better way to get Sky Moore and the rest of this offense? Hey, just another guy I went through for the rest of the season, Isaiah Pacheco. I need to see a big game out of him.
Oh yeah, we'll see how he does. And what's really scary about the Chiefs and heading into the playoff time, where they're going to see tough opponents back-to-back weeks, is their D line is getting a lot better. Some of those young guys on the D line, they're getting a lot better. And Chris Jones is still at the peak of his play. So you put those two together, they're starting to look scarier and scarier as an AFC contender. And I have to admit that, even though I hate them just as much as I hate the Raiders.
And
this just goes back. Like, I wish that I cared more about telling people when I'm right about shit. But there was like a 2-minute argument that we had about why the Tyreek Hill trade was so good and the reset. And it's just like, this is exactly why you don't overpay for any position except for quarterback. Like, they were so confident that their rookies would get it together. They traded away one of their few veteran DBs in there because you can reset a team. You don't have to rebuild when you have Patrick Mahomes. The Steelers never rebuilt. The Colts never rebuilt. The Patriots never rebuilt. They just never overpaid for other talent because you have the quarterback position. It's like Patrick Mahomes is in that same category as those guys. You never have to rebuild. You just make sure that you don't devastate your team by towering to somebody else's desire to get paid. Congratulations.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit, Tony, that I was wrong about that. I thought that Tyreek Hill and what he produces for that offense, similar to like the Jamar Chase effect in Cincy, was severely going to cause Patrick Mahomes to have to adjust. I just didn't think you could adjust to that big of a loss during the offseason, but he did, and they got better. And it helps a lot, too, when you have confidence making huge moves like that and managing the cap and making sure that you can sustain a decent defense at least, is when you have confidence that your coach is almost always going to be right.
Yeah, he's a great coach. And then you look at we argued a little bit too about the downgrade from Tyrann Mathieu to Justin Reed or whatever it is. It's like at a certain point, yes, there might be more knowledge in Tyrann Mathieu, but who's going to give you more on the field game to game? And then you got to factor in the coaching that goes into that and everybody coaching around him. And Spagnuolo is a very good defensive coordinator, has been everywhere he's coached.
Yeah.
Well, nobody told us that Justin Reed was going to be a kicker too, Tony.
We didn't even know about that bonus.
Like, if you would have told me that, then I would have been like, oh, okay, game changer right there. No, but can we just admit right now, and Harold Rivera is going to be all happy, but the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL right now. And it's Super Bowl or bust for the Kansas City Chiefs. In a down year for everybody. I mean, you could look at the standings right now and you could be like, and you're looking at all these teams and you're like trying to pick one team. The Chiefs are the only team that really stand out, and everybody else is just like, they have a shot, they can do it, but the Chiefs are like, no, the Chiefs are good.
Yeah, they can be the best team in the NFL all they want. They're still going to lose in the AFC Championship game, or whenever the hell they see us again, they're going to lose. On to this game, Joe. 10-7 is going to happen, right? This is the second step, the second baby step towards 10-7. I keep telling the Raiders fans, you guys flip the switch up and down so much from week to week, day to day, hour to hour. Like a couple of weeks ago, the sky was falling, and now we're going on a winning streak and going all the way to the damn Super Bowl. You've still only beaten 2 teams this year, and they both were awful.
Yeah, but we beat the number one defense. I don't know. We beat Russell Wilson, who used to play for Seattle. That means something, right? I don't know. Does it?
Tay, I mean, I know he's on your team, but Tay beat the number one defense in the league, not the team.
Look, sorry.
You know
I
that's
don't care,
true.
Mike. Everybody talks crap about the Raider fans, but the thing about Raider fans is they're around. Win or lose, they're around. If we lose games, we're out there talking. We win games, we're out there talking. It don't matter. Now, can we go 10-7 and make the playoffs? There's a lot of shit that has to happen for that to even happen. But I think, and I talked to you guys about it, what I saw last week in Denver and at the end of the game and in the locker room was a team that came together a little bit. Not saying it's going to mean wins, but it just shows that they're actually going to work together and they call each other out. And it's just they needed that. They needed a team victory. Josh Jacobs is banged up a little bit going in tomorrow. If you guys didn't know that, he just got put on the injury report as of today or yesterday morning for his quad. So we'll see. Yeah, Josh Jacobs. And then Tay going up against another rookie cornerback who's in the running for Rookie of the Year in Woolen. So we'll see what happens. But Seattle did have a bye week, and they did get the rest up. But Geno Smith, your comeback season ends this week.
I don't think so, Joe. And as a fan, you should believe they're going to go 10-7. I like to think the Chargers are going 12-5, right? Like you look at it and you're like, well, every game is a win for the rest of the season. Turn it around. You put as much lipstick on the pig in front of you as you possibly can, and you dress it up and take it to the parade. You're not beating the Seahawks in Seattle coming off a bye, and Kenneth Murray, I think, is going to have a game that is going to separate him for Rookie of the Year votes because he's going to be on a team that's going to be contending for a division title. He's going to be nearing somewhere around that 1,000 yards, 1,300, 1,400 all-purpose yards, double-digit touchdowns. I think he destroys the Raiders. Allows for easy play action passes or DK and whatever. Now, I do think the Raiders can keep it close. This is not going into my blowout fest weekend game, but end of the game, Kenneth Murray ain't doing shit. Kenneth Walker is there putting you guys to sleep in the fourth quarter of this football game where Seahawks win 3-4 point victory.
It's all the Chargers scraps, the guys they don't want. But yeah, Joe, in a couple weeks when the Raiders are on a losing streak again, I'm going to bring a pig with lipstick on it to your Christmas party because the Seattle Seahawks I don't know if they're going to torch the Raiders, but they're going to beat the Raiders this week. They're going to win by 10 or so. I do think that the Raiders are going to be okay on offense. Tay's going to eat up. They're going to play a lot of zone coverage on the Seattle side because they don't got anyone that's going to match up one-on-one with Devontae Adams. But when it comes to putting up points on the board, I trust the Seattle offense versus that Raiders defense way more than I trust the Raiders offense versus almost any defense, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Raiders do have a Lombardi as an offensive coordinator.
Joe, is anyone in your household afraid of pigs?
Well, they can't be if I'm here. Got him.
Oh, did it lipstick on you? Just put the lipstick on you instead?
But look, Tony touched on something that I've been telling people all year, and people get mad anytime I say the Raiders going to win or anything like that. If you are a true fan of a team, what is the fun of it, of going, oh, my team sucks, we're going to lose all our games. Yeah, I'll see you guys next year. What? No, it doesn't matter if your team is 0-10. I went to Derek Carr's rookie season, and they were 0-10 going into Thursday night against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? I went to that game, and it was the funnest game I've ever been to. That, and you guys seen a lot of highlights of that. That's when Khalil Mack and Seal Moore are celebrating third down when they got a big sack, and the play's not over yet, and they had to run back and call timeout. You guys remember that play?
Vaguely.
It's like where they're celebrating, and they're like, "You haven't won the game yet, dumbass." But yeah, and then we're going out of the stadium. I'm like, yeah, 1-10, baby, or 1-11, whatever it was. The Raiders still won, and everybody still had a great time. It doesn't matter. You're there to root on your team, win or lose. Root on your damn team. But to come out there and put that sad look and be like, "Oh, we suck, man." Like I hate fans like that. I hate fans like that, Tony. Like I get Raider fans all in my TikToks, and they're like I just posted one today that said, "Hey, look at the playoff picture. This is the current playoff picture. They're forgetting the team," and I put the Raider logo, and I go, "Hey." And Raider fans are like, "That's embarrassing. Our team sucks." No, you're embarrassing, and you shouldn't be a fucking fan.
My arms are getting tired there. But Joe, then what's your problem with the Cowboys fans that say they're going to win the Super Bowl every year, and Cowboys believers who might be predicting them to go to the Super Bowl next week?
Huh? Well played, Mike.
Because I hate the Cowboys.
On to the next game, which is
I'm talking about if Cowboy fans truly believe it, they can do it. But I'm going to talk shit to them, and you should be talking shit to me as a Charger fan. But other Raider fans should be backing me and saying yes, Raiders are going all the way. Cowboy fans should be backing Cowboy fans, and then we should talk shit to them.
I will say that the Raider Nation has been the team that I've seen most, and maybe just because there's mostly Raiders fans that follow my page, but in the comment section, I've seen the most of the Tank 4 fill in the blank name out of anybody.
Idiots.
So we'll see how that goes for the Raiders. If they beat Seattle, then I am going to be so annoyed for the next week while I wait for them to lose to whoever they play next week. We got the Saints on the road. Oh, yeah, it's us, huh? We got the Saints on the road against San Francisco 49ers. We're all on the San Francisco side. San Francisco obviously just had a huge game in Mexico City, and a little nugget. The entire Queen's Ransom League was watching that game closely because the number one team, the team that's been on top since my wife Rose lost her spot, was about to lose if she didn't have like 30 points from George Kittle. And it happened and kept her alive. The Niners going crazy right now. Joe, even as a Niner hater, you're still not going with the Saints, huh?
Yeah, because the Saints haven't proved to me to be anything good, and they play carousel at quarterback. They haven't got their offense going. I thought when they whooped the Raiders' ass that maybe it was going to change their whole team, but no, it didn't. The 49ers can go out there and play like crap, but I don't think Dennis Allen has a hold on this team, and the offense isn't good enough to win the game against this 49er defense.
Okay, right now we will have 4 games where there are 20-point victories or bigger this weekend. Like, this is going to be blowout central weekend, and this is another one that falls in the category where, like, if you just went and you said, well, I'm going to bet the spread on these 4 games, and I think all of them are probably like 9+ points. I would bet all of them to cover these massive spreads. The 49ers are heading in the right direction at this time of year for the first time in a long time. We're like, everybody seems to be healthy or getting healthy or whatever. And the fact that you can be on cruise control essentially in the first half and your best running back, not the most talented person at the position, but the best like true runner of the football is Elijah Mitchell. And he had 1 like catch or touch or whatever in the first half of the game. And then they just come out and they just allow him to just smash the ball like positive yards every time. The 49ers are very dangerous and creeping into that like, oh, this is the team that I think somebody needs to stop. Like, we could be getting a rematch of KC 49ers and Jimmy G could be trying to get his revenge. This is not the Super Bowl I want to see, but it's starting to feel a little bit more like, oh, I think these are the front runners if I had to bet to be in the Super Bowl.
That is actually the worst possible option, Tony. That is the worst possible option available.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
It was the worst one back then also. But yeah, I think that this Niner team is just way better than the Saints offensively, defensively. They've got it all going for them. The run game is really impressive because, like you're saying, Tony, they can just change the tempo up on you. You're guarding this guy that can do all things out the backfield as a receiver, as a rusher. He's an agile back. He's speedy. And then they bring in a dude that can run you over like Elijah Mitchell for an entire drive out of nowhere in the middle of a game. And the whole pace has to change defensively to defend that. It's hard to adjust to.
So think about it. When CMC was with the Panthers and he would get these checkdowns, he'd get like half a yard because there were 2-3 players sometimes dedicated to watching him. But now you can't do that because you have George Kittle and Ayuk and Samuel. And it's like, oh, so now he's just got to beat one person in space. He just does whatever he wants. It's like I'm watching a cheat code. When the offense is healthy, the 49ers are tough to stop. That's why I did take a little bit of a moral victory of how well the Chargers played the Niners, I felt like were still trying to figure out how they were going to incorporate all that talent they had.
Yeah,
But-
especially against their defense. What's up, Joe?
Do you trust Kyle Shanahan the rest of the season?
I trust Kyle Shanahan more than I trust Jimmy also, but that pair together is a little suspect.
You know what I love about this season is that the Niners are winning and Jimmy G's the quarterback, and Niner fans who threw Jimmy G under the bus last year and they all said, bye Jimmy G, fuck you Jimmy G, you're not worth our team anymore, and now they have to embrace him, and now they have to be like, Jimmy G's the best, he's the greatest quarterback we've had. And just a couple months ago they were like, fuck Jimmy G.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's kind of like hanging out with that couple where one of them had an affair, but they're like holding hands. We're stronger than ever. We've never been happier to be together. And you're like, dude, this dude was balls deep in his secretary like 6 months ago. Like, very uncomfortable. That was maybe a poor choice of apologies, but
I would hate it, but I want to see the Niners win the Super Bowl and then go, now what? Now what are you going to do with Jimmy G? Now what are you going to do with Trey Lance? Go ahead. Make you lied in that bed. Go ahead and make it.
I would say this. If they win a Super Bowl without him, you not only have to have I think you keep Jimmy G around, right? Like there's no sense. But then that is the only way to make that trade. If they make it back to the Super Bowl, the trade just looks like the worst trade in NFL history because now you're stuck in that conundrum with a second Super Bowl loss and the same thing. And it's like the reason you made the trade was because you wanted to avoid that situation again. But now you had to repeat that performance
against the same team.
You still have no picks, and you still have your issue where you don't know if you found the answer, but you mortgage the future for it. So, like, I think winning the Super Bowl is the only thing that could save him, Joe. You should want him to get back there and lose. That's the part where it's like a real FU.
And what's going to happen is the 49ers are going to get to the playoffs, and they're going to see a team with a good front seven. Philly, Dallas, whoever it may be, Tampa maybe if they keep playing well. And Jimmy G is going to have the ball in his hands, needing at least a field goal, maybe a touchdown to advance the 49ers. And that one game, if he does that or not, is going to determine if the Niners go to the Super Bowl this year, I think. And it happens every year. And the one year that Jimmy came through for them in those close games in the NFC playoffs, they went to the Super Bowl. And all the other years where he didn't come through for them in those close games and they lost on the final drive, it was usually at the hand of number 10. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Tony.
Tony. I'm just saying that's the formula to get after this team is get Jimmy G to stand in the pocket and have to, win the game and not be relied on, everything around him.
And if you can bring pressure with 4, you
got it. Yeah.
You're getting turnovers and you're gonna shut them down.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But they got to run into a team like that in the playoffs and beat them for, I believe, their trip to the Super Bowl is booked. But here we go. Colts Steelers. I'm surprised on this one, Tony. You usually rock with Mike Tomlin in these close matchups, but I'll let Joe go ahead and go first here. And then Tony, you can say your opinion on the Colts. Joe, Steelers. Why are they winning?
Why are they winning? I have no idea. I'm just picking them because I don't want Jeff Saturday to continue winning and making the coaching profession look good. I every time I get suckered into this, I don't know why I do. I look at the Steelers and I go, okay, their defense against Matt Ryan or their defense against this offense should do something enough that Kenny Pickett doesn't have to carry the team. And I do it every week, and every week I've been pretty much wrong. I don't like that Mike Tomlin is going to have a losing season this year. It's pissing me off that he's going to have a losing season. But Steelers should be able to beat the Colts. They should be able to do enough to beat the Colts on Monday night. Mike Tomlin get his team going. I think we're going to see Kenny Pickett, George Pickens have their little connection going and score enough points. I think it's going to be like 24-14 Steelers win.
Defensive battle. Sorry, I was reading Robert's comment. I don't think I've ever noticed Robert here because I would have made a comment. I would have commented on why the thumbnail has you sideways like that. I'm curious. What's
Spider-Man. He's actually standing on the wall in that picture.
Yeah, what's the story behind the thumbnail there? It's impressive. If you have that kind of ability,
subscribe, Robert.
We need to be friends. This game comes down to Matt Ryan versus Kenny Pickett. And which one of these guys do I think late in the game can figure out how to get their team into field goal range? And I'm going to go with Matt Ryan. at home, being able to, like, he's to me as the second best player to lean on when your quarterback is a little suspect. And I think that's Jonathan Taylor. And they have discovered they've gotten not discovered, but they've gotten back to what the identity is. And that's put the ball in the belly of Jonathan and allow these guys like Quentin Nelson to regain their form and why they're paid so highly and just smash ahead. And I think that can have a little bit of neutralizing against the pass rush. So maybe, 18-17 last second win, 19-17 Colts pull one out in a game that isn't really that entertaining until the fourth quarter.
I'm very happy to hear that as well. And I'm very happy to see Jonathan Taylor getting his because I have a few fantasy teams where every single player on my team was a landed pick except for the first overall freaking pick, Jonathan. That's turning on right at the perfect time as my teams are trying to sneak into the playoffs and maybe win a championship. But yeah, my thinking is similar to you guys. I think this game should be tight. I like seeing this Pittsburgh offense come alive a little bit. I think their defense is still good, even though they didn't play that great against Cincy last week, since he's a really good football team on the offensive side of the ball. The Colts are a little bit underrated as well. This was a tough choice, but I think Mike Tomlin has a huge edge on Jeff Saturday. Steelers offense looks like maybe it has a little bit more juice. Najee Harris came alive also, just like Jonathan Taylor has been coming alive. And I also just kind of have a little bit of a gut feeling about the Steelers in this pick on Monday Night Football. It just happens sometimes that way.
Because here we go, Pittsburgh. Here we go.
That's all of them. We finished them.
We did it, Tony. And I'm still in the lead.
Mike, how many picks are you switching before tomorrow morning? Give us a ballpark. 5, 6?
Should I do this one? Maybe 4.
Good. Yeah.
So we only had a couple different.
Around 25% of your picks being switched. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I already have some of them recorded. I'm just going to post them up and just say that I changed.
No. There really isn't much that I would even think about switching this week. Like, I feel pretty strongly about all of these. And I think that there's, like I said, 4 games that are decided by 20 or more points.
And other than a select few teams, the league's pretty healthy. A lot of these good teams have most of their players available.
I like this one. I like these helmets right here. Do you guys like these helmets?
We definitely have seen a lot less injuries to quarterbacks this year.
That Bengals helmet might be my favorite helmet. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Tiger is my favorite animal, like tigers and pandas. And then that one is just, that's great.
And Joe Burrow's your favorite chosen one?
He's not no social media quarterback, that's for sure.
Social media quarterback that has no social media. That's a good take.
Manuel Lacho still has
Put him in the damn Hall of Fame. But anyways, that wraps the show. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, turn on notifications. That's the big one. Those notifications it'll give you a little pop-up when we go live. And if you have time to tune in live, you can tune in live. But at least at the very minimum, you're notified. There's a new upload for you to go and watch if you like listening to us during your workout, drive home from work, whatever it might be. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Any last words, Joe, Tony, last plugs? Finish it off with the rating.
Ugh, gross. No, don't do that.
Why would I do that?
Bullshit.
I want to finish off with that. I want to finish off with Justin Herbert's going to throw for 3 touchdowns this week. And rain!